Hey guys, today we're going to be working with acids and bases to see how the difference is when you have acids included in the recipe. So right now we're going to be doing two different recipes, one with the acids and one without. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the plain ones. So it's a little bit simpler of a recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need two bowls. One bowl is for the wet ingredients and one is for the dry ingredients. The dry ingredients should be going into the larger bowl. The wet ingredients should be going into the smaller bowl. Okay, so let's start off with our dry ingredients. Okay. We're going to do 3/4 3 times of flour. We're going to go to 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then 3/4 of teaspoon of baking powder. 1, 2, 3, and then 1/4 of baking soda. So baking powder is an acid while baking soda is a base. So that's all the dry ingredients, and we're going to go ahead and whisk those together just so it's combined. Set that aside for now. And then our wet ingredients, it's going to be, I already measured the 3/4 cup of milk. Okay. And then 2 tablespoons of canola oil. And then we have 1 large egg. I'm going to go ahead and whisk this. Make sure that egg yolk breaks up. And then we are going to combine it, the smaller bowl of wet ingredients, into the larger bowl. Go ahead and get a silicone spatula to make sure all of the wet ingredients get out of the bowl. Let's set that aside. And we're lightly going to stir, okay? Just until it's well combined, no more powder. Remember not to stir too fast because we don't want gluten to form. You need to scrape the edges of the bowl to make sure all the powder comes off the edges. Go ahead and use the whisk. So now what you're going to do is use that 4th cup measuring cup, and you're going to put it on this hot pan. I had already had it preheating, so it's already pretty hot. Spray some pan so the pancake doesn't get stuck. you should see bubbles start to form in the batter, and once it starts forming in the batter, you can look at the edging. If there's a lot of bubbles on the edging, then it's almost ready to flip. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and cook these, and then when I come back, I will set it into onto a plate so you can see what recipe A looks like, and then we'll get started on recipe B. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start on recipe B. So this one's gonna have lemon and honey added. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off the same way with our dry ingredients first. Okay, so I'm gonna do 3/4 of flour, 3/4 cup. Three. And then two, 3/4 of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon. 1, 2, and 3. And then 1/4 of baking soda. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and whisk this together. We left out the sugar in this recipe because the sugar is going to be coming from the honey this time. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside. Close this up. I had already measured the juice, the lemon juice, so it took like about one half of a lemon to get 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I'm gonna pour this in here, and then we also need 1/2 cup of milk, so it's a little bit less milk than the first recipe. 2 tablespoons of oil. 1 egg. And then we also have the honey. So a little trick I do with the honey, because it's so sticky, spray a little bit of Pam, okay? And then it'll slip out easily. So it's 3 tablespoons. On the last one, go ahead and use the spatula to try to scrape out as much honey as you can from it. Okay, because it is going to be pretty sticky. And now I'm going to whisk this stuff up, all the wet ingredients, and then we'll combine these wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. So because if we look at how much acid was added to this recipe, our pancakes should rise a lot more in this recipe than it did in the first one, in recipe A. So again, use your silicone spatula to scrape out all of the wet ingredients, because the acid is in here also, so that's important in this recipe. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk it. Remember not to stir too quickly. When you make this one, you can see that the batter is already like more fluffy than the first recipe. The first recipe was really flat and just very liquidy. Okay. So again, we're gonna measure it out with the 1/4 measuring cup. And I'm gonna spray the pan. And try to make it as round as you can. I usually will push it down. Okay. And at the end, I'll show you what these come out to look like compared to recipe 8. Okay. Okay guys, so I finally finished making all of them. Here we have recipe A, and then here we have recipe B. If you can look at recipe A, this one is a really, really, really flat pancake. It didn't rise, okay? If you look at recipe B, look at how thick this one is. It's almost twice the thickness of the other one, okay? So acids make a huge difference in baking. So we have light and fluffy and dark and flat for recipe A, okay? So try this at home, feed your family while you're at it, and go ahead and send me some pictures of your results. Thanks, guys.